Welcome to Accounting High.
Good topic. Productivity. Nix and Scott share a small but useful piece of practical advice as it relates to running their professional accounting firms. This episode is brought to you by the letter P.
Yeah. You know what? It's Friday at Accounting High. Make varsity, no doubt. Play on, players. Play on. Okay, drop the verse. It's going down, welcome back. Team of coaches are ready to teach promotional price packaging. No doubt, Accounting High, put it down. Never about the numbers in accounts, a bot can figure that out. Tell me who got hot takes and tips. Attracting teams like Coach Mac did. Price and fear patterns, mindsets, proactive. Still moving this forward with my homies Matt, Queen, Dave, Kenji, the original coach trainers. Outsource teams now, good lord. Creating cultures with real owners, wow. Systems for when you're not around. Cover much ground. Stop, breathe, and slow down. Getting paid is the only way. Each and every day. Recurring models great. Get ready, open your mind. Why? Learn and power your firm. Free your time. East side to the west side. Pushing value price at Accounting High. We got tips in our bag. Stacking up your cash. Practice with the top of the class. Clients need service because people are the purpose. Lace up, it's like phys ed, it's immersive. Friday at Accounting High, let's begin. You people are the purpose. Make varsity, it's time to level up. Level up. People are the purpose. Make varsity, it's time to level up. Level up. You people are the purpose. Make varsity, it's time to level up. Level up. You people are the purpose. Make varsity, it's time to level up. Lace up.
Introducing the star of our show.
Nix McKenzie and Scott Scarano.
We're gonna have a problem here.
I read that without reading anything. That was memorized this time.
Good job, Scott.
Yeah.
How are you? I missed you.
Somebody sent me a text and that said something Eminem said reminded me of them.
I sent you that. We'll have to link the video, but it's basically him talking about how it's BS that people say that words don't rhyme with orange because there's tons of words that rhyme with orange. You just have to say it right.
You just have
And it
to
reminds
say
me
it
of
right.
you because you think differently than everybody else.
Oh wow, that's so
And you're a rapper.
cool. Yeah. How are you doing, Nicole?
I'm good. I'm really good. I like this topic a lot. One of our core values is actually GSD, which stands for Get Done.
I have a poster right behind my screen here that says "Get Done."
Yeah,
big
so
letters.
I went through this exercise of creating core values recently, and if anyone hasn't created their core values, what you do is you write down all of your employees and then all of the character traits that you like about them, and then you look for patterns. And in order for it to be a core value, you would fire somebody if they didn't have one of these core values.
Not just to fire somebody, but it has to be something that they're not, basically. You don't want to put stuff that you aspire to be. You have to do stuff that all of the people that are the best ones at your firm already embody. Like, this is who they are inside and out. They've become that person, so they don't have to try and be something else. And if they change, you're gone, But you can hire and fire on that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and basically what that means is that everyone on our team is very productive, and they don't have to be micromanaged. They can push things across the finish line. They're resourceful. And I think that's really important in a remote environment. So we've always been remote. For the last 6 years, I've worked remotely. And I think that's forced us to be super hyper productive. When I think back of working at a CPA firm and just how much time was wasted in an office environment and just lack of structure and just how much time you could waste during the day. Like one of my biggest pet peeves was, I don't know if you ever had this in an office environment, but like the birthday celebration where everyone had to go and congregate for 30 minutes and eat cake. I don't even like cake. And I just like sitting there for 30 minutes just thinking, man, I'd really like to just be doing my work so I can get off early and go to the gym or hang out with my friends or hang out with my partner rather than hang out with all of you people who I'm with all the time.
That is funny. So the number one complaint I hear from other people about Slack is get rid of the birthday channel, like the happy birthday. And it's just like everybody's always complaining about other people's birthdays. When it's your birthday, I know you loved it when Will got you donuts and everybody's singing birthday to you. What if somebody there said, oh God, do we really have to celebrate Nicole's birthday now? God, I just want to be home with my partner.
Yeah, but no, but everyone was already there by choice, and there was tequila involved. Like, that's obviously donuts and tequila at a bar is way cooler.
So we had tequila at my office. We used to give tequila out on birthdays. Like, we would give shots, birthday shots.
See,
right?
that sounds way
You
more
guys ever
fun
do that?
than not at the CPA firm I was at. We did not do that.
Oh, okay. Well, ours was very unorthodox and non-traditional. We would watch Game of Thrones together.
But you're probably also
So-
not making them work 60 hours a week like when I was at a CPA firm. So we recently we started doing 36-hour weeks. So focus Fridays, no meetings on Fridays, and then
Focus Friday. That's a
and then
that's an alliteration if I've ever heard one. Focus Friday.
Focus Friday. So basically 4 hours on Friday. You don't have to work. You can start the weekend early, if you have appointments you need to make. Because I feel like, and what I've noticed is the team gets the same amount of work done in 36 hours than they do in 4, because people just fit into their day the time that they have. So I just wanted to test it out.
Absolutely.
So far, it's worked out.
I'm sure. Like I'm sure they appreciate it too, because they, you probably kill a lot of time doing things slower if you can plan a little bit more ahead of time. And
I'm really into the planning lately. So I took some notes on this one. At first I was like, productivity, what are we going to talk about? And then I started writing down. Sometimes I think you're so involved into what you do on a day-to-day basis that you don't realize that over the years you've actually created pretty good systems. But because you do them every day, you're like, what am I doing differently than everybody else?
Yeah, like everybody's kind of telling you how you should do things. And I'm like, whoa, all right, let me pay attention to this. Like, you should be doing this at your firm. Oh, let me pay attention to that too. And like, my team is like, look, pretty good. Like, and I'm always questioning everything and trying to change it because this person's like feels really passionately that you should stop tracking time or you should change this or do this. Like, we got to start looking at our own and being proud of that. Pride could be another good P word.
I agree. Okay, so one of the first things I have here on how to be productive, and the first one is one of our favorite words. It's not a P word though, but asynchronous communication.
Ooh, that is one of our favorite words.
Okay, so I have a list of apps and tools that we use to do this. The number one most important thing is a shared calendar. If you don't have a shared calendar, I don't understand how you function. Like, we live off of our calendars. I can go on and see anybody on my team's calendar at any point in time. Like, basically anything that's not blocked out with a meeting or that I personally block out is fair game for anyone on my team to book a time with me if they needed to talk about something.
Interesting. So did you ever consider office hours? Because then they shouldn't be able to just book a time that's not blocked off. It's almost like you're working around the blocks.
Well, we have regular meetings and we can get into that. That's another point. But I asked the team, because you gave me the office hour idea, and I asked them if they would benefit from office hours, and they're like, no, we feel like you're pretty available. I don't have that happen very often. Typically there's a meeting, and then the meeting is to, like, you're structuring a meeting like a regular meeting, then that's the time to say, okay, now we need a problem solving hour or whatever and then that would be another schedule.
Like, office hours requires you to be very thoughtful and have something to do in that hour, because I'm never in my office hours. Everybody's supposed to be in there. I'm never in mine because I can't just sit in front of my computer for an hour and not have anything on my schedule. Like, I'm trying to work through stuff.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe that's not productive. Maybe there's a better way to structure that.
Well, for me as a person. So I think I know what my strengths and weaknesses are. That's one of my weaknesses. My calendar, like, I work out of my calendar now. I try not to go into my email and anything. I will not miss a meeting if it's on my calendar. you've talked about this on other episodes too. Like you got to send a calendar invite to Mike.
Yeah, no, exactly. And we've actually started doing this with clients too, because we realize if we meet with the clients, there's way less email going back and forth. So all of our engagements now, there's at least a 1 hour once a month meeting. And if you can,
I like that,
because you're controlling the client's calendar too, because if you send them an email with a request list, they're going to look at it and it's just going to go to the bottom of their inbox, versus if you have a weekly or monthly meeting, you're going to get all the answers that you need from them. So that makes everybody more productive.
Wow, that's we do that already, but that's a good point. That's what the clients that we do keep up with the meetings with, and that they do meet the team, they never complain about stuff. It's the ones that your emails got buried. I can't never get a hold of him. I can't ever get a hold of her.
Yeah. Nail them down,
yeah.
because you're forcing them, and that's a core part of their business is their accounting and their finances. You're forcing them to have that meeting, and then you'll see
face your finances on Focus Fridays.
So, and then another thing we're doing, and we're a Google company. I used to use Microsoft when I first started, but I prefer Google. But anyway, one thing we're doing is we have these rolling Google Docs, Word docs, so you can actually include that as an attachment on the meeting. And so let's say we have a client that we meet with weekly. There's a rolling Word document on there that's collaborated, and then you can pull in the meeting date. So it always has notes and then has action items. So every week you have the call with the client, you take your notes, you have action items, the client can see that, you come back to it the next week. So there's just like this rolling task list basically, and notes. So if anybody else needs to come on and get some backup or background on the client, they have this rolling notebook.
Oh, I like that. That's really cool too.
The other thing that I'm trying to get the team to use more and more, we have a couple team members that love using it, some that are not so comfortable using it, is Loom. I think we all know Loom, but just think about how much time you can save by not having to write up an email and then having to explain how to do something, instructions for clients. So just using those Loom videos.
I got 2 Loom stories that just came up recently. So one is our team's finally started doing Loom reviews of tax returns that I thought we were doing for the last 3 years. I think I told you this before, right?
I know you said they weren't doing them, so they're doing them now.
They are doing them now. It's part of the process, and it's going well. They like it. Well, I'm not going to say they like it. They don't. There's certain people that do not like looming on their own, and I am one of them. So at Earmark, Blake looms everything. Anytime he has anything to tell you or anything to go over, he looms it, and he's great at it. But he does it with everybody at Earmark. Zach, the producer, and myself included. I don't like recording looms. I'm like, right over when I hit the record button, I'm just like, and I don't even know what to say.
That surprises me, considering.
It's so hard to plow through that. But does it surprise you? Because I'm by myself with the loom. If I'm with somebody else, I can talk to them and react. But if I'm by myself with a camera on, like I can't do it.
Do you need to call me and have me sit with you while you do your loom videos?
Can you babysit me? Like I got a lot of like actual looms to do for Blake for Earmark, and I think I'm behind on my work, but let's cut back into productivity. I got to be more productive on the Earmark side, but on the Paget side and on the Momentum side, let's talk about productivity. So we're on the third one.
So we're still on asynchronous communication. So we talked about calendars, okay. Loom, Google Docs. We use HubSpot, so we can @ people on that. I know you have Carbon. We use Dialpad. I'm not a fan of Slack, so I'm not giving in to Slack. And then something new we just started using, which has been awesome, is 15Five. And
cool.
It's every week there's 3 questions that that everyone on the team answers. And it's basically like what went well this week, what didn't go well, and then the third one could be a custom question, like what resource or app would help you do your job more efficiently. You can make up whatever you want. And then on a scale of 1 to 5, they rate how their week went. And that's been really helpful for us to, find issues or figure out like, if people are, we talked about finding that the payroll compliance contractor, I talked about doing that because people were just so overdoing payroll. So, and then you can also high five each other. So you can be like, thanks Scott for helping me out with this project, and everyone gets to see that. So that's been a really cool way to asynchronously communicate.
So I really like this 15Five. We do something similar where we send a type form out, auto sends each week, to give other team members shout outs for something and call them out on their core values. So we have our core values listed when they open it up. And is there anybody that you'd like to recognize this week for any of the core values? It's a good way to keep them like feeling like they're together, because this asynchronous thing was hard for us when I transitioned. At least it was hard for me. It wasn't that hard for them. It's like I guess it's harder for me now that I don't have that interaction anymore. We still have our team meetings and those go okay, but the 2D is different than 3D. Like you never had it both ways with your firm. So I don't know, like they don't really miss the office, and there's a big part of me doesn't miss the office. I'm rambling. I'm sorry. So
No, you're not. Then it is a big change for sure. You have to change the entire, you have to build your firm thoughtfully when you're doing it remotely. You can't just take what you were doing before and plug it into a remote life.
Yeah, the shift is kind of tough, because the clients that were with us then, most of them left.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, most of them left, but part of that they were leaving before because price shifts and changes, and then just changes in the business too. So it's like we've become who we wanted to be, but we had to shed who we were in order to get there and evolve and grow up. And so it's just hard for me because I still am a kid inside, and I know that we're matured as a business, and I just still want to around and be a toddler,
Well, yeah, that's something that we're realizing too. Like we work well with companies that are online, so digital agencies, right? Versus not really working well with a restaurant or retail, because it's hard to nail down the team or the client because they're working on the floor. So we want people to meet us where we're at and are using the same tools that we're using.
Meet us where we're at. I like that.
Okay, so the other point I have is avoiding learning while you're working or having to research things. So what I mean by that is, having a core app stack, so you're not always having to learn a new app or new tool. So if a client comes to you and they're using something you've never used before and it's in an industry you've never worked with before, probably say no rather than taking them on, unless it's an industry or an app you want to learn.
So I can relate this to Notion, right? Notion, I wanted to start doing myself, and I couldn't get myself to start doing it, and I had no experience. But now that I am actually working live with it, with Blake, I am having trouble learning a couple of things at once now. Like as an adult, right? I got to learn where everything is in the platform. I got to learn his systems and everything else, and learn how to use the product effectively, right, and efficiently, because it's different, but it's so powerful. There's so many things you can do. So I'm just like kind of learning as I'm watching, but it's going to take me some time. I got to be a little more patient with myself and not give up on stuff like that.
But I feel like that's something that you'll use long term and repetitively, whereas I'm thinking more of like at my old firm when they first started the CAS department. So it was a traditional CPA firm, and they're like, we're going to start doing CAS. And if you were on QuickBooks Desktop, if you were on Peachtree, if you're on Xero, if you're on QuickBooks Online, if you're on some random payroll software, no matter what you're on, yeah, sure, we'll do it for you. Do you know how inefficient that is? When you're trying to learn a new software while you're trying to do accounting, it's so inefficient.
Well, you got to contextualize, avoid learning while working, because we're always learning. And if somebody's doing a tax return, they're going to have to learn new stuff. It's always going to be something new comes up. The tax code's very long, so you got to be adaptable. So I guess we got to context that.
So I'd say something that it's a one-off, right? Something that isn't. It's okay to learn and grow and take on new challenging things. But for example, like I said, if someone brings Peachtree to your business and wants you to do that, it's not worth for you to learn it for that one client. Mm-hmm. And then the other part of this is using subcontractors or specialists for complex work. Mm-hmm. For example, if you have a couple clients that have sales tax issues, rather than having someone on your team figure out all the sales tax, go on Upwork and find a sales tax specialist and have them do that.
Productivity, all of these things. Which one are we on now?
Okay, so the next one I have is to find repeatable shortcuts. So that could be making rules in Xeros,
automations,
email templates for answers that you type up a lot, Chrome browser. So one of Jen on my team showed me this cool trip where you can create a folder. So like, for example, we have one called Good Morning, and it's all the apps that you need right when you start your day. You can put it in a folder, and then you right click it and you can open all of them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So is that like in the bookmarks bar or something?
Yeah, it's like right on my bookmarks bar. I click it, I right click, it says Good Morning, I right click it, and I open
So
it.
let's
And you can do
avoid
that.
learning while doing, since we're recording. You teach me after.
And then you
I'll
can
learn it after.
also do that with client work, right? So I only have like one client I work on in Momentum for month-end close. So whenever I go in to do that client, or if I do Momentum's books, it like opens Gusto, Xero, Teamwork, like all of our apps related to that one client that I need to do the month-end close. And their bank. Bank
Wow.
accounts.
That's really cool. If you could package all that stuff, and if you're using like LastPass and everything, that you could just kind of be able to log in differently. So
And then the other thing that we're doing now is we're having an intern going in and pulling off, like downloading all the bank statements for all the clients and then uploading them to
Smart.
the Google Drive.
because HubDoc can't do that anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you have a solution for that, or does your team just pull the bank statement?
RPAs is what my head was at, but my team doesn't think that would work. I know it does work, but I would think, like, I guess they think it's too expensive, or I don't know.
So I went back and forth with that too, where I was like, there's got to be a better way, looking for an alternative to HubDoc. But then I was like, but if you could pay someone $15 an hour and it takes them 10 hours, it's like $150 a month. So you can hire a new intern and test them out by having them do the banks
Oh, wow.
just to see.
I like the economics of that.
Just give them that, like, literally it's just do this one task. It's very easy. And then if they can't figure it out, they're not going to be, don't give them any other work. You're like, okay, you're done. Versus if they're good, then they might be like potential full-time hire.
So isn't that like the time mindset, but it also makes everything kind of relative. So think about it. You said 10 hours, and if they're not really tracking the time or anything, but that's $150 a month. And if this app is going to sell to you for $250 a month, or whatever it might be, why not just pay the person? Because they could do more and you get a lot more out of them.
Yeah, you're paying them,
you don't
you're
even have
testing
to
them
track
out.
the
They're
time,
giving,
I
and you're
don't
getting them interested in accounting. If you can get a young person excited about the technology and accounting and have them do this one little piece, and it's cheaper than the apps, why not?
Yeah, we spend a lot of money on apps. We need to do an apps clear out like that. We need to tighten up our stack, right?
I know ours is
I've-
getting out of
yeah.
control. It's just like one app. It's
Ours
like
did get out of
$15 here,
control.
$15
Yeah.
there. All of a sudden, you're like
Yep.
spending $5,000 a month on apps. Like what?
Yeah, it's $120.
It ends up being
here,
almost the same as
$75
having
here.
an office.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm saving all this money on not having office space. I'll buy all these apps. But then you're in the same situation.
Yeah. I don't want to derail us too much, but I'm starting to realize all of the cuts that I made last year. So we basically cut everything that we think we didn't need. And that was included 2 people and an office and everything that goes with that office and everything that I thought I needed, or every app. We're over 50% profitability.
Wow,
Now, it's
that's incredible.
Kind of crazy. Yeah.
Now, how do you manage your capacity? I know we're going off track here with that, but when you're at 50% profitability, that almost would worry me that people are pushing through too much work.
We're getting there. We're starting to see little frays of it here and there. The people that would complain, they're definitely going to complain, and the little things that are happening. And, I just want to make sure that everybody's still good. And nobody really knows if they're overworked until it's after, or until they're in the middle of it, until it's too late, right? So Chris is doing a pretty good job of that. And now we're hiring. But that's also because somebody's leaving, and had an interview today and said it went beautifully. It was... I didn't do the first round of interviews too. That's something new.
I need to
We'll see
interview
how that goes,
an
yeah.
ad. So we put out an ad for admin assistant, virtual admin assistant, and we had them submit a Loom video as part of the application, and that was game changing, because otherwise when I first put it up, I didn't do that, and it was just all these resumes, and I'm like, how am I supposed to navigate through all these? But then by adding that, it reduced the amount of people that applied to like 5% of actually said on Loom video, and then they were all really good. So
I think it was last week that you were just dealing with all of the applications.
Well, now I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, this is embarrassing, but like I don't know how to have interview questions because all of my employees I kind of just knew or got, and so
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I need to set up. I need a good process for this. I need interview questions. So I might pick your brain on that.
Well, I can give you my advice. We'll figure out a P word as it relates to interview
What
preparation.
if I
yeah.
what if I just only asked just used P a lot in all of the interview questions, or just tested for how much they use
Yeah,
P?
tested their knowledge there. So let's get productive here.
So that was one of my points, was
Production.
leverage
Yeah.
resources, push down work. So using virtual assistants and interns for low level work, that's going to make the rest of your team more productive for sure. So and then the other one I had was meetings and meeting cadence and meeting agenda. So how do you, I know you have regular meetings. What's the structure and cadence of your team meetings?
Yeah, definitely. So we based everything off of Traction in EOS, and then we did a hybrid with something else, and this is what we landed on for management team. We have our L10 meeting, which is an hour and a half on Mondays, and then every day we have a stand-up. It's about 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
every day after that, but no Fridays. We don't even have anything on Fridays. That's the management team. So we just kind of, what happened yesterday, what happened today, do you need help with anything? And Blake actually does that at Earmark too, but he does it in a Loom video. So it's like, record your Loom video of what you did last. I didn't even record mine this week, but I did it last week. And I was like, what did you do last week? What did you do this week? So it's not like an actual synchronous meeting. So those are the meetings let me shift back. So at Paget, that's what we do. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we have stand-ups, and then Monday we have our L10s, and then we have a strict agenda that we go through, and we review our scorecard, and we go through team updates, client updates, and then try to identify and solve IDS is what we call it, but we try to solve problems during that meeting or bring things up to the forefront. Whatever they come up, we drop it down as a problem, go over it. So that's that. And then the team management wise, the account managers, they have a meeting that's sort of like a mini L10 or mini level 10 meeting, and that's like an hour that Chris meets with them, and then he also does them with the bookkeepers. So I feel like that's changed everything at the firm now that they started doing those. It's really, a lot of these things takes a little bit of pushing. If people push back, push forward a little bit more, and once they get used to doing it, they actually like it. Like, they would complain about all the meetings at first, and now they spend less time trying to keep up with stuff because everybody's kind of on the same page.
Yeah, I think you made a
So-
good point there. The most important things about the structure of the meeting is that that you're not trying to solve problems during the meeting unless that's the purpose of the meeting. So the point of the meeting is to be on the same page as everyone, address issues that need to be solved, and then from there you can compartmentalize those and have other meetings to actually solve that problem. Because I think too many times you be in a meeting and people will just get into the nitty gritty. They'll spend a half hour on one topic trying to solve the problem. Then when it's like you have 10 other people that don't need to be involved in that
Rabbit
meeting,
holes.
and you're wasting everybody's time.
Like I do on this podcast sometimes.
I don't think you're
Look,
wasting. You're
No,
entertaining.
let's get productive. Yeah.
And then my last
We don't want to
point,
go down the rabbit holes.
Yeah, my last point is manage your energy. So I am a really, really good napper. I can take 12-minute naps. No joke.
Really?
Yeah. So first of all, I start my day with a double espresso Americano, which helps get me through most of the day. Every once in a while, if I don't sleep well,
Do you have an espresso maker?
yeah, so we have a Breville. It's pretty awesome. I highly recommend it. Mike got me on that, and like now I can't drink regular coffee. I have to drink like half of it, and then like I drink like the other half in the afternoon because it's really strong.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then every once in a while I'll get like super tired in the afternoon. I'll just find myself just sitting there for an hour, just being super unproductive. And if I just lay down, take a 12-minute nap, and then I'm like, okay, I'm back on it. Or if I go for a run and go to the gym or something, and it kind of like reamp myself back up again.
I should start doing that. That's a tough thing about the days. Like I don't break it up enough.
Along with managing your energy is when you are feeling at your peak energy, use that time to do your most important tasks rather than doing mindless tasks.
Try to find peak performance to be the most productive. That was a couple of P's there, right? So try to find that window of time to optimally perform, and it'd be to everybody's benefit. Not everybody's is the same, though. Some people are earlier, some people are later.
Oh, the other thing we didn't talk about yet was calendar links, which are great, but you also need to be careful because I remember when I first started using HubSpot and I had the calendar link, I would just send it out, and then all of a sudden, like, my whole week was just meetings. What I do.
Can I relate to that? Like, I'll look at my week and it'll be empty. Like, I'll look at next week, like, oh wow, next week's empty, and not really think about it, and then just start sending people my calendar link, like, oh, this will be a good guest for the podcast, or this one is a sponsor, and like, I'm set up all these meetings, and then I look at the next week, I got no time to do anything else.
Yeah, so yeah, it's definitely a learning curve. It took me a while to get it down. So I have different calendar links for different purposes. So if it's a networking meeting or something like that that's not urgent, typically they have like 2 days a week they can schedule it, and it's not even available until like 2 weeks. And then if it's an urgent meeting link or an urgent thing I need to meet with someone about, it's like a 20-minute phone call. And it can be within the next, starting in the next hour from now. So you can set buffers. And then also you can set buffers between the meetings. So you're not jumping from one to the other. You have time to like take down your notes or write down any action items before you're jumping to the next meeting.
So I started using a calendar link like 2014, like really early, maybe 2012. I know it was around the time we first started using Xero. And yeah, like I made some mistakes early on, but now it's like kind of like Calendly has adapted to everything. Now you can see if you're booking it on somebody else's and they're using Calendly, you can see your availability on there.
Oh, that's
but also
nice.
You can set a lot of restrictions or parameters around meetings. So it's like, of this type of meeting, you can only have up to 2 of them a day, or at different time buffers, like you said. Like I'll always do like 15-minute meetings and 15 minutes in between, because most of my meetings don't ever stay 15 minutes. They always go over. We don't ever record for 20, 30 minutes. We record for like 40 now. So everything always goes over, but the buffers help. And then different calendar meeting types too. So I send different invites for different things. So if they're going to be a guest on the podcast, it's its own calendar and it's its own link. And then if I'm going to meet with them for sales, there's a sales link. And then if it's for, now eventually I'll create an earmark one. So it's like an earmark link. And then for anything else, if I'm just sending somebody my own, just send them my link. That's kind of cool. And I always ask the same questions on there. Which podcast or books would you recommend? And
Sons of CPA, a hot item on there.
It comes up sometimes.
If you call my business number, it says, do not leave me a message, send me an email, so I can send you my calendar link. So another way to be productive is just don't ever answer your phone. That's what I do.
The 2 things that I do now is just texts and calendar. I don't even look at my email, and I don't pick up my phone. So productivity. Do you want to quickly go over it again, like everything that we just talked about, kind of like give a quick little summary of all that?
Yeah, so
read it off.
So asynchronous communication, so using tools like shared calendars, Loom, Google Docs, HubSpot, Dialpad, Slack, 15.5, or some of them that we mentioned. Managing external communication, so really managing your clients, adding recurring calendar invite meetings for them rather than sending them emails. Leveraging resources and pushing down the work, like using virtual assistants, interns. Avoid learning while working, so sticking to a core niche or core app stack, and using contractor specialists for complex work.
Did you just mix niche and niche?
When I say niche?
Niche. You said niche, yeah.
Nick's niche. Nick's niche.
Nick's niche.
After I said it, I was like,
I love it. I'd never heard that one before.
I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to make that my own.
Nick's niche.
Okay, niche, finding repeatable processes or shortcuts, and then managing your energy.
I'm going to eat my dish of fish for next niche.
See, I'm like Eminem. I make up my own
fish
pronunciation.
dish, you are. I love it.
I'm going to put this niche in a dish.
Thanks, Nix. Peace.
May I have your attention, please?
Yeah, OKR is in the house. Yeah, OKR is in the house.
Accounting High.
From cloud accountancy way back to desktop accounting advisory and tech apps adopt. Went solo with the rap, Scotty's still the same. Raleigh is the spot where I edutain. Like, share, connect, comment, follow this. And subscribe to our podcast. Next when we drop, cause you know it don't stop. It's 24/7 on the Accounting Highlight. TikTok clips don't watch, just some shitty tax talk. Cleaning up accounting with a bucket and a mop. Then we lean back and nod, cause the class is about to start at Accounting High. Scotty, OKR.